Hey guys, I'm Ethan Moore from Stockholm Supply, and today I want to talk about something, I guess, kind of interesting here. I want to compare our 24-inch Flatmaster to the Rikon here, 6x48 belt sander. Now, the reason I chose these two particular products to compare is they are both sanders, of course. They take up a fairly similar footprint in your shop, and they cost similar. So the Rikon 6x48 belt sander, this is a 50-120. This is their nicer unit. It costs $800. Now, I did one, I would say, mandatory upgrade to any belt sander. I have added a Velcro conversion to the 10-inch disc on the side here, because that makes it so much easier to change the discs rather than a sticky disc. The other thing that comes with this belt sander that's really nice, and it's something I would add if your belt sander doesn't have it, there's graphite cloth underneath that belt, and that makes it run so much smoother and cooler. A really nice upgrade if your belt sander does not have that. So yeah, this costs about $800. Our Flatmaster here, it starts at $600. Let me look at my little list though, but by the time you add the fence and this chuck, we sell it with or without a motor. So without a motor, this setup here is $780. With a motor, this motor right here, it's $1,090. Now, one thing to consider too, with that price, that also includes shipping. Yeah, let's get into the differences here. Let's just talk about which sander is best for your shop or is better suited for your particular type of woodworking. Those prices I just mentioned, the $800 and the $1,090, those prices obviously are today's prices. They are subject to change at any moment, but just for the purpose of this video, just gives you a relative comparison of these two. Now, the way I'm going to talk about this is I'm going to compare different things that you would like to sand, and we'll talk about how you would sand them with each machine. Now, this is a piece of walnut that's about 14 inches long or so, and maybe 4 or 5 inches wide. Something like this, both machines would handle really, really easily. Belt sander, I could just lay that on top, and with the flat platen, that's going to sand that nice and flat, very, very simply. Flatmaster, same idea. I would just pass this over the drum of the Flatmaster here, and I could sand that very easily, very flat. Now, something to consider, when this becomes wider than 6 inches, you can still sand this with a belt sander without an issue, but you'll have to pass it back and forth like this. Now, when you're doing that, it takes some skill for that to stay flat or fairly flat. Now, the one really cool thing about the Flatmaster here, you got about a 24-inch wide drum. Anything within that 24 inches is very easy to keep flat and to sand right like that. Now, when we're talking about something that is a little bit longer, so this right here is about, I don't know, 18 inches long or so. But if you look here, that's actually longer than the platen or the exposed platen on my belt sander. So this belt sander does something really unique that I want to show you here, that not a lot of other belt sanders do. Now normally you'll see this Rikon belt sander, let me just put this on top of the Flatmaster, it has a beautiful 10-inch disc right here, but you'll notice that disc is actually set below the belt, where most times that disc is set right on the end right here. So what that means is because that disc is below the platen, I can remove that guard, and this gives me a lot of flexibility. Let me quickly remove this guard here, and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so I've taken that guard off. Now you can see that exposes more of the platen here, though I don't have a fence. But also there's no disc here that's going to get in my way. So if I have something that's a little wider than the belt and a little bit longer, I can actually put this right on here, sand it back and forth, and do a great job. And even if that was longer, I could then kind of move it back and forth, and I will be able to sand the entire thing. Now, obviously, if I'm making a motion like this and doing my best on a heavy piece, trying to keep that flat onto my belt sander, it's going to be really difficult, and you will likely end up with grooves and marks in your piece. Where something like this on the Flatmaster, incredibly easy, because I will just push that through just like that. No issue at all. And if that is a little bit longer, you can then use these fences to hold that material down with the hold downs. And then what you would do is just push from the back like that. So, yes, larger pieces, certainly Flatmaster is a very easy way to do it. Now, I just wanted to touch on even extra large pieces here. So something like this, you could certainly sand on the belt sander like this, just like I was showing you before. Now, you can also sand this. Really? Well, you could. It's be difficult, but you absolutely could.
I think you hurt yourself.
It's very heavy, and it would be easy, certainly. But something like this, we'd be far better suited on the Flatmaster. This, though, is wider than 24 inches. So what you can do with this is you could sand past the end. So essentially you'll sand one side like this, push it through, and I have videos I'll link at the top to show you how to do this. Push her all the way through, rotate it around, and you can sand the other side. Obviously, way easier to do something like this on the Flatmaster compared to the belt sander. Now, let's talk about where a belt sander really excels, though. Something like this. This is the beginnings of a duck decoy. Anything that's an unusual shape, you can sand on the belt sander like this and kind of position it in different ways and sand something like that. You can also use the disc sander to sand this like this. Now, something like this on a Flatmaster, obviously the drum is not going to help you at all, other than maybe the bottom. But one thing I recommend you adding to your Flatmaster, if you already have one, is a chuck like this. This is a keyless chuck. It allows you to put different accessories on the end here, like a sanding mop or a disc sander. Now you can get these discs or backup pads anywhere from 2-inch diameter to 6-inch. So you can put something like this on there. And I've actually added a foam pad. You can add a foam pad to that 10-inch disc on the Rikon as well, but you would need to remove the table to do that. But for variable stuff like this, you can certainly still do that with the Flatmaster. Though, probably overall, the belt sander is a little bit better suited to do kind of that unusual shape stuff. Now, the only other thing I missed talking about was edge sanding. Let me put the fence back on the belt sander here and we'll talk about that. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about, really popular thing to use a belt sander for as well as the Flatmaster, is edge sanding. So sanding like this. Now obviously with the fence on there, I can't sand that long, so I'd have to remove that to sand the whole length of this guy. Now it is tempting to use a belt sander like this and pass the wood along the edge sand like that, though it is not a great idea, because what you'll do is you're going to get cross-grain scratches right along here. You're sanding not with the grain, but against the grain, and it's not going to finish out very well. So you're always going to want to sand this direction. So they make belt sanders that are very, very long, that are specifically designed for edge sanding. Works really, really well. Now, Flatmaster, arguably, works every bit as well as any edge sander on the market, because when up against a fence like this, you can pass your wood along just like that, and you can sand it. You can do as many passes as you like, but you can also put multiple grits on here with multiple fences, and you could sand 60 grit, 100 grit, and 150, or whatever you want to do, all while the sander is still running, which is kind of neat. So as far as edge sanding, is one better than the other? Not necessarily, but the Flatmaster is never limited by the length, and you can sand with multiple grits without having to change anything on the sander, which is pretty cool. So yeah, that gives you a brief synopsis of what both machines are capable of. I would say, if you're a woodworker, and you tend to do boards and larger pieces that are very flat, the Flatmaster is probably the better choice for you. Now, if you're also a woodworker, but you mix in a little bit of metalworking, belt sander would be a great choice because you can also do some metalworking with it as well. But also, if you do a lot less flat stuff and a little bit more shapes and things like that, the belt sander might be the better choice. But both machines are extremely versatile. Both machines are really, really nice. We sell both these units. The Flatmaster is a machine that we designed and make here and sell. We are a dealer of Rikon, so we sell this belt sander as well. So yeah, if anybody else has any questions, you can email me at info@stockhamsupply.com or just comment on the video. Thank you guys for watching.